fundamentally, the intention of a BIM mandate or a BIM specification is that a client, and ideally public sector, is demanding better from industry, but also with an objective that is to improve the taxpayer investments. So we build schools, we build roads, we build prisons. And if we spend too much money in the build and the actual resultant facility doesn't meet needs, then we as taxpayers have had a poor service from our governments. So a BIM mandate is saying, I think BIM can help us get better value from those public construction investments. And it's up to the industry to then embrace what that means. And I'm sure we'll discuss that in due course.
I appreciate that baseline. And do you have anything else to add to that? I think Marek kind of knocked that answer out of the park, but I just want to make sure we have the broad perspective.
Well, I think the key thing is looking at how a mandate can help better outcomes, because the reality of it is there's such a diverse set of outcomes that's happening across all all projects and all construction projects. But I think when you're dealing with like local government and, the national development plans that are kind of put together, you have to have those contingencies to make sure you have consistent outcomes. So a mandate becomes a crucial component of that.
It makes a lot of sense. And so we're seeing some of this happen in the United Kingdom and then also in Ireland most recently. And so my next question actually goes to you, David. Can you share a little bit more about your perspective on the broader intentions when those BIM mandates in Ireland were announced, and what's been rolled out so far? What's the state of the journey?
It's earmarked to start in January 2024. Essentially, the Irish government and the National Development Plan have set out a 48-month, 4-year window to essentially make all National Development Plan projects have a BIM mandate attached to them, starting with 100 million and then gradually going down to any project less than $1 million by month 48.
And it sounds like, the acceleration of that might be exciting for some of the contractors, maybe a little bit less so if they're not so eager to embrace that. But Marek, I'd love if you could take a moment to, contrast the original intent of BIM mandates in the United Kingdom and compared to what actually unfolded in the rollout in the UK. What's that idealized state where you started, and how did that shape up?
I'll take a little while to explain, because I think this is a look back story. So in the past, we used drawings, paper and pencil, and that was then improved by organizations like Autodesk with AutoCAD. So we, rather than drawing on paper and pencil, we drew lines and arcs in the computer. And the big advantage being I could rub things out without having to use an eraser or a razor blade to make a correction. I could delete the line, replace it, and CAD revolutionized basically the production of technical drawings. As we then moved forward particularly sort of the 90s, we had the emergence of three-dimensional modeling and the beginning of sharing information. People might remember FTP sites and that kind of thing. And then email came along. And what was interesting is I know from personally working in consulting that my manager would check everything I did. It's not he didn't trust me, he just made sure I didn't make spelling mistakes. So if I sent a letter out, I would write the letter, he would check it. We'd often give it to maybe a typing pool to type it up, and then we would proofread it, check it, sign it, send it in the post. And the same was true for drawing production. When we had computer-generated models and email, people stopped doing that. They would just send each other, and so we lost control. So in a way, from the UK side at least, the BIM mandate was not so much about thou shalt use Revit. It was more saying, you're using Revit, but you're not using it under control. So we introduced the idea of the common data environment to standardize the information creation, exchange, and use. It's often getting confused about, the modeling. It's not about modeling, it's the information management.
That makes a bunch of sense too. And I really like that analogy in, email changed how we work. It was such a dramatic thing. And I couldn't imagine, I'm showing my age right now, late 30s, handwriting out all my letters and having somebody proofread to that level of detail. And so your point is astute in that there's a balance there in the sense that we're more autonomous and free to, collaborate and communicate, make all these choices, but it also kind of opened the floodgates. I think we've all been stuck on a, reply all thread in a, 14,000 person company where you're just sitting here going, please unsubscribe me. And you go, that's not helping. Please don't do that anymore. And, that's just a really small example in the broader context of what we're doing. But I really like that.